Hyderabad hosted its first social impact gathering at the Tea Hub. The event was attended by social entrepreneurs, leaders from corporate world, and key startup ecosystem players. The event provided a platform to individuals and organizations who are working in social impact space to network and build partnerships. On the sidelines of the event, I spoke to the British Deputy High Commissioner in Hyderabad, Dr. Andrew Fleming.
Thank you, Andrew, for giving us time. I know it is a short notice, but I'll keep my questions short. Let's start with the event. What was your personal takeaway from the event? How did you find it?
I mean, it was a good event as far as I'm concerned. I mean, somebody had the idea of doing this on Friday, and they've delivered it on Wednesday, and that's how things happen here in Hyderabad. You know, I teased them that they only sent me the invitation yesterday and they were lucky to get me, but I think, you know, it's all about connections and bringing people together.
True.
You know, and tonight, given the notice, there was a lot of people that came, which for me demonstrates there's a need for this kind of activity, this kind of platform for people that are in the sort of force for good social enterprise space to come together, to network. You know, even in a few minutes in there, I could see connections happening before my eyes.
Lovely.
And I think that has to be a good thing.
Entrepreneurship comes with its own challenges. You know, there is some for-profit, non-profit. Personally, what is that drives you to be connected to social entrepreneurship?
Well, it's a bit of a long story. I have to try and abbreviate it, I guess.
Sure.
I mean, you know, I've travelled. I've been very lucky. I've travelled in 114 countries. I've seen, you know, people living in really acute hardship and all that. And I've always had a desire to see if we can make a small difference. I mean, I'm a bureaucrat, and I've been 33 years in the civil service. So I don't have so much direct opportunity to do that all the time, depending what my job is. Sometimes when I'm abroad, I do have a chance to influence or give a little platform to something. But what I can do is connect people, and there's a lot of good people in the world. And if you can find the right people and bring them together, however good one person is, if they can find a common ally, they can do even more together.
Very true.
So I have found that that's something I've been able to do in different places. When I was in Nigeria, before I came here, we set up a small NGO that was into trying to promote recycling and campaigning on the environmental issues, plastic waste and all these kind of things, which you know, quite similar to India, but there was a few social entrepreneurial startup type organizations that were also growing at the same time that we collaborated with. And I went back after 2 years of being in India, and I saw how things have been evolving there, which was quite satisfying.
Must have given you a lot of satisfaction, yeah.
Yeah, on the whole it was. I think things in Nigeria are particularly difficult at the moment for the poor people. The economy is really not in a good shape. I mean, it's painful to see that when you ask a group of children how many went to bed last night hungry and almost all put their hand up. It can break your heart.
Yeah, I agree.
There has to be a better way.
Yeah,
there has to be a better way. And you know, since I've been here in India, of course I've had a role where I've been exposed to the startup community. I didn't know that much about the startup community before I came to India, but you know, a lot of them are working in areas outside this sort of niche, force for good, social cause area. But I have a particular affinity with those that do actually want to make a difference. And there are a good number of startups in many of the 30 plus incubators across the city who are working in this space and have some really brilliant ideas of all kinds, and it's unfair to pick out one or two. There are so many, but so many people whose motivation isn't so much about being the next unicorn. it's much more about making a difference and making life better.
That is very refreshing to hear, because otherwise the race among startups is all about being a unicorn. You know, very rare you hear people say. I guess it's also to do with the fact that they are social entrepreneurs. Probably that also drives the thought process, isn't it?
I mean, look, how many startups are there that actually become unicorns? I
Very
mean, the
true.
percentage is
Yep.
0.00 something.
Yeah.
Of course, a lot of people dream of finding the next unicorn, just like my son dreams of being the next Ronaldo or Maradona or whatever, because he likes football.
Yeah.
But he, you know, everybody has to have a dream. There's no problem with that. But I do find this generation, there are a lot more young people who actually want the world to be a better place.
Yeah.
And whenever I come across people with that kind of view, if I can help them in any little way, if I can help them with an introduction or a connection, either if it's through my work or just because I happen to know somebody that might be like-minded, I will always take that opportunity. I mean, my house is a government building, effectively. It's the British residence in Hyderabad. I mean, I use that to bring together different groups of people.
Lovely.
Who I think can benefit from a very, very much like this, but not quite on the same scale. I haven't quite got a house as big as T-Hub, unfortunately. But we bring together like-minded people and we see what can come from it. And I'm happy to say that a lot of the connections that have been made there have, led to different things. Not always in the startup space, but there's an awful lot of people that share this ethos, this mentality of wanting to improve life for their fellow citizens. I like that. And the other thing, more on the professional side, I can mention is that we signed a tech partnership with India in 2017. My government, the UK, and the Indian government, when Theresa May made her first trip out to India. As a Prime Minister. I said 2017, it was the year before she came, 2016. When she came here, this tech partnership was signed, and it's since grown and developed and evolved. And we're now at a point where we're looking to have tech hubs around the country, and I'm very much expecting that we will have some resource here to be more focused on being a liaison point with the tech community here. And it isn't just the big players, it's equally going to be having people that are able to come to events like this. I mentioned, for me, it was a bit of luck that I was able to come tonight at short notice.
That's great.
But I would like it to be the case that we do have people plugging in to these groups. And my vision, I guess, is, we're here in Hyderabad, the most innovative city that I can probably think of. Great place to have a My Startup TV channel, by the way.
Thank you.
But at the same time, I told you I came from Nigeria.
Yeah.
Nigeria is probably the entrepreneurial hub of the world. I
Interesting.
think there was a statistic that was mentioned in the Global Entrepreneurship Forum that took place here a couple of years back, that said that there were more women entrepreneurs in Nigeria per head than any other country. I don't know if that's right or not. People always quote these different things, but just like you can feel innovation in Hyderabad, you can feel entrepreneurship in Nigeria. And that's another factor of success in a startup. And then my country, the UK, we're leading on areas like AI, like blockchain. We have some of the best software engineers in the world. A very senior person from Tech Mahindra volunteered that information to me not so long ago. That was his opinion. I didn't even know who he was until he introduced himself after saying that.
Okay.
So he certainly wasn't out to try and flatter or anything else. But I happen to agree with him. Now, more mechanisms in which you can bring people from different countries, each with different strengths and different characteristics, together in the startup world is, in my view, the next logical step. Because it's great having these people from different parts of India here. We've got people from Pune, people from Maharashtra. Well, that is Pune, isn't it? Mumbai, I meant to say.
Yeah.
Delhi, Bangalore, Kerala, all have come at just a little bit of notice to this event. But if you can bring startups and have platforms that bring startups together on an international basis, I think there's no limit to what is possible. And
Very
again,
true.
the same will apply. They're not all going to turn into unicorns and all. A lot of them are much more motivated about changing life in a particular way. And I think the more we can create that kind of platform, the more exciting the solutions and the outcomes are going to be.
Very true. You talked about how there are more women entrepreneurs in Nigeria. Is there anything that we can do in India, or especially in Hyderabad, to bring up the share of women entrepreneurs, push it up, or we can learn something from there?
I think you have
or it has to be
learn. I very much believe that in life you can learn from just about every opportunity you have. Why are there less women entrepreneurs in rural Telangana than there are in rural Nigeria? I can't.
Is it because of the need or the hardship? I mean, as they say, necessity is the mother of invention. So is it that the necessity is driving the people to naturally
I can flip your question and say, well, why are the people in Telangana some of the most innovative, or in the Telugu region more as a whole, let me say? Why are they the most innovative people? I think you have to accept that there are certain characteristics that people have. And innovation is one that seems to be born here to the Raisina district of Andhra Pradesh. There's so many people from this part of the world that have this have this been blessed with this ability, and perhaps that's driven by need just as much as in Nigeria, where life is for many people extremely hard, extremely difficult. You have to just find a way to make ends meet, to feed your children and all. And it's something that you see and feel in action as you travel around the more rural states in that country as much as you. And can you learn? Yes, you can learn. I mean, just as there's some wonderful incubators like T-Hub here in Hyderabad, Nigeria has its own incubators as well coming up, and connections have to be made between
the ecosystem players.
The incubators here, those in the UK, and part of what I'm hoping will happen from the tech partnership is that we will help facilitate more work. Because just as we're working here in India and have a tech partnership here, we're also working in the tech space in Nigeria, in Kenya, in South Africa, in Brazil, and in Indonesia and other countries around the world, which all have tech as a growing and exciting area. And also, each of them will, I'm certain, will have their own particular areas of strength. I don't know what the strength is in South Africa or Indonesia off the top of my head, or Brazil, but there will be something
yes,
that stands above. Maybe with climate change and all, perhaps in Brazil things have evolved that much more, given
birth to new ideas,
and it could be that some of the stronger ideas are emerging from there. Some of the expertise there could be also more refined. I don't know, but my point is that we have to understand, and we have to make these connections, and we have to bring these brilliant people with these brilliant ideas together. We need to create the platforms to do that.
One question, last question from my side. My first investment as an angel investor was in a UK-based startup. It was a medical device startup, and so there used to be a platform called the Ideas Factory.
Right.
And I must have done about over half a dozen investments through that platform in mostly UK based startups. During my interaction, I realized that there were a lot of angel investors, British angel investors. Is there a way you can connect the angel investors from UK into Indian system? Because Indian startups are definitely looking for quality angel investors. We have angel investors. I call them the vanishing angel investors because they're there, as long as there is some hype in the system. Otherwise, the genuine angel investors are missing. So, is there a way we could connect, bring some of them and connect them?
I mean, I think it's happening to a point already. We had our tech festival last year, which again is a product of this tech partnership, and it's the second major tech event that UK and India have had. And there were certainly some of these people were part of that. We run and T-Hub are our partner for it, or we have run. I think we've run 6 or 7 editions of something called the Tech Rocket Ship Awards, where we ask startups to pitch and put up their different ideas to a panel of judges, and the best judges get a chance to go to the UK and do a tailor-made program in the UK. And the year before last, 2 of the 7 winners across the whole of India came from Hyderabad, which underlines my point about the innovation. And a lot of these companies, they get offers of investment on the back of what they've been doing. They've been able to access, in some cases, quite considerable amounts of money. So there are ways in which it's happening, and I think there is going to be something else that's in the pipeline. It might not be the Tech Rocket Ship Awards next time. It might be something more orientated towards the social entrepreneurship pillar, because in the summer we announced Go Global, which is an initiative led out of the Department of Culture, Media and Sport, and they've been already doing Go Global in Africa with some startups, but they're looking to now bring it and run in India. So I'm expecting that to come up, and exactly what the prize will be and the access will be, I can't say at this point. I don't have the details, but I mean, this kind of initiative will always generate publicity, and that's one way to reach these investors. So I'm sure that it will also generate opportunities in that respect. And I mean, we have a close relationship not only here but with the other incubators in the city. I'm a judge at WeHub for an event they have tomorrow, for example. There's always sort of different opportunities that arise where again connections can be made.
Very true.
We have a network of investors that we have a relationship with, and from time to time they're here and we will introduce them and so on. But equally, I've heard that Hyderabad is increasingly also a city within its own right here in India, to which a lot of investors have gravitated. I think because they understand that there are a lot of really exciting ideas
coming out of
the city.
Hyderabad. Yeah.
So even within the India startup ecosystem, it's one of the places I think known to find potential investors is this city.
Yeah. Thank you, Andrew. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Oh, you too.
Thank you.